MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, bringing you Week 10 predictions. This is the best weekend of college football we've seen in 2018. Of course, the games have yet to be played, so we don't know that for sure on the field. But in regards to on-paper matchups, this is the best weekend. And it also doesn't just provide the best weekend of matchups on the field just to watch football, but the biggest implications. Obviously, those go higher as we go throughout the season. But this week in particular, starting with the SEC, matchups going head-to-head that will decide division races and conference championships ultimately, and the college football playoff scenario across the landscape of college football. All right, we've already seen a matchup in which Pitt won at Virginia to take over the ACC Coastal Division lead with one loss, and they control the division. And so we see a number of these kind of matchups. And I've told you many times throughout the season, I've charted this, that about 20 to 23% of the games are straight up upsets. So we've got to look for those upsets out of 175 top 25 games this year. So I pick all the top 25 games, and then I select some of the relevant games just outside the top 25 that may play into a conference championship scenario, or is just a very interesting big brand matchup. I pick all those games. That's 175 going into Week 10, and 45 of them have been straight-up upsets against the Vegas money line. Just like Friday night's Pitt win as a 9-point underdog winning at Virginia 23-13. Okay, let's look for those games. Not going to be the case first out of the gate. Louisville at Clemson. Cardinals 40-point underdog. This has nothing to do with Louisville playing decent football. This prediction right here, it has everything to do with Clemson just saying, let's put it on cruise control. Let's romp Louisville. But 40 points, Clemson wins the game. Louisville covers the 40 points. And yes, Clemson could win this game similar to the fashion in which they beat Florida State. And actually, the Seminoles were competitive for a quarter. Clemson still won 59-10. That could happen again, and I could miss this. That's why I say stay away from these games. Anything over 3 touchdowns, my percentage goes into the toilet. Everything over 3 touchdowns. You don't know if Vegas is correct on the point spread. You don't know who's going to be on the field in the fourth quarter for either team, especially the team with the 35-point lead. You don't know how hard they're going to be trying, and that doesn't necessarily mean the team that's romping the other team is not going to be trying. Maybe they've got the third-teamers in, and those guys are going to play lights out because they've got an opportunity finally to play, and it's Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and they've got 4- and 5-star freshmen on the field. And number 3, you don't know how the coach is going to call the game. Are they just looking to get on the bus and get out of town, or are they going to put down the gas? All right, here we go. Nebraska, Ohio State. Buckeyes a 19-point favorite at home. They've got the bye week. Do they get things fixed? Yeah, to a certain extent. Maybe slight improvements. I'll take Nebraska in the 19 points. Again, Ohio State wins easily, but the Huskers plus the 19. Syracuse at Wake. I think this is an upset alert for the Orange. They're a 6-point favorite on the road at Winston-Salem. Wake has not been good this year, but Syracuse, let's not lull ourselves into believing that they're a tremendous football team just because they beat NC State and they played Clemson close. Wake Forest, take the 6 points. I believe Syracuse will pull out a win, take Wake plus the 6. Texas A&M at Auburn, really good matchup of a couple programs that expect to contend to be top 25 type teams. That's not necessarily the case, especially Auburn underachieving this year. Texas A&M wins at Auburn. They just got more together right now. Texas A&M plus the 4 at Auburn, and they win the game. Iowa State at Kansas. I'm going to take the Jayhawks plus the 16 points. Iowa State wins the game. Kentucky at Georgia. Defense doesn't have to travel in this game. Kentucky's at home. The crowd's going to be rabid, and I don't play a whole lot into home field situations like that. But Kentucky has yet to play a game like this in years and years and years. They can play for a championship. Some say back to 1950. And, of course, you can look at that awful Kentucky offense. You can see how they win week to week and think, how in the world do they stay competitive in this game or put up enough points to win the game? I believe in this Kentucky defense, and I think that we saw in recent weeks enough out of the offense that we just assume that Kentucky's going to let down, that they're going to collapse under the weight of the Georgia talent. Well, that talent is mostly very young. Georgia's not played well on the road against LSU, and for close to three quarters, it was a tussle against Florida, a team that Kentucky beat. I don't think we give Kentucky nearly enough credit in this one. Yes, I could see Georgia winning this game 38-14. That would not shock me, surprise me in any such way. I like Kentucky to win the game, flat out, at home. Defense wins it. They win it 24-20. We saw Terry Wilson put up some decent passing numbers last week. They get it done. Kentucky wins against Georgia. I'll take the 9 points as well. West Virginia, Texas, huge game in the Big 12. I'm going to stop analyzing these games, and I'm just going to give you my predictions. West Virginia, Texas, huge, enormous game in the Big 12, of course. Texas wins. They cover the 2. Iowa, Purdue, I think this is the most difficult game just to call in regards to just calling the game, who's going to win the game. Most important thing is not who beats the point spread. I know you've got money on the line possibly, and you're looking for the point spread prediction. And yes, I have gotten into that in the last 5 years because that's what people want to hear. But the most important thing is who wins the game. And I should take more pride in the prediction record just straight up because that's what matters. Yes, it's easier. I understand that. But if you compare it to other people, then there's a high standard of what I typically hit, like 82%. Which I am having my worst season straight up ever. 146 and 49 right now. Whatever that percentage is, it's only about 75%. All right, back to the Purdue game. I trust David Blau more than I do Nathan Stanley. He's up and down. Purdue's at home. They're coming off a loss. Both teams coming off a loss. But I believe in the Iowa defense, and I think Iowa's a better team slightly. I think they have better personnel across the board, but I'm going to take Purdue at home and lay the 2.5 points. Penn State at Michigan. Michigan's going to run away with this. I know that my earlier prediction in the week was Michigan 27-17. That would mean that you take Penn State and the 11.5 points, but I'm going to say Michigan wins it late, takes control late in the game, that they've got a decent lead much of the game, 7 to 10 points, and then they tack on a late touchdown. Whatever the score is, take the Michigan Wolverines, lay the 11.5. BC at Virginia Tech, slight upset here. Virginia Tech wins at home, take the 2 points as well. Mizzou at Florida. I know Florida's offense is not good. I don't understand this line. Yes, Florida might win this game 24-20. Mizzou went up against a similar defense in Kentucky last week and put up 14 points, only threw for 165 yards. Now they go to the Swamp. Florida wins it, lay the 6. Utah at Arizona State, prime upset spot for the Utes. Yes, I picked them to win the Pac-12 South Division, and this would lay the division at the feet, in the hands of Arizona State. Inexplicably, we have taken Arizona State off the radar since losing to San Diego State. They beat Michigan State. They played themselves into talk around college football for about 3 days, and then they were back off the radar after losing on the road to San Diego State and losing early Pac-12 games. Now they play themselves into position with 3 losses even in the Pac-12 to win this game and take control of the Pac-12 South Division, and they will do so. Take Arizona State. They win the game. Take the 7.5 points as well. Duke, Miami, I wrestled with this one, but Miami just has too much explosion on offense, and they're at home. If they were on the road, I would probably take Duke. But in this stadium, they win games. They have lost all these recent games on the road. Neutral site LSU, on the road against BC and Virginia. Miami wins. I will take the 9.5 with Duke. Who is Miami beating in that division other than North Carolina at home? I will take the points. Notre Dame Northwestern, I wrestle with this one because what is Pat Fitzgerald going to do in preparing his football team? Yes, they go out each week to win football games, but this game has nothing to do with the Big Ten race, and his team is leading the Big Ten Western Division at 5-1, and they've got a huge, enormous game against Iowa the next week. But they're on national TV. They've got a chance to take out Notre Dame, and it's not going to help Northwestern except for a brand standpoint. They've lost 3 games. They're not coming anywhere close to a college football playoff appearance. I still like Northwestern with the 10 points. Take the 10 points. I picked them to win, meaning Notre Dame, 24-16. So Irish do win to advance to 9-0. Northwestern plus the 10. Bama-LSU, we've talked about it all week here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Bama wins LSU plus the 14.5 at home. And yes, could Bama win this game by 24 points? Yes, they could. They will not. LSU plus the 14.5 with that defense. Joe Burrow will make plays on offense against a Bama defense that is not vintage. Still one of the 5 best in the country, but not an all-time Nick Saban defense. Oklahoma, Texas Tech. I like Lubbock. The scenario, a lot of Big 12 favorites have gone to Lubbock and died throughout the years. Texas Tech playing well against, they pop up and play well against certain teams, and they're still in the race for second place, and that's what's important in the Big 12. Just get to the championship game. Oklahoma wins. Take Texas Tech plus the 13.5. Stanford, Washington. Stanford kind of falling apart, falling by the wayside right now. I will take the 10 points with the Cardinal, but Washington wins. Cal, Washington State. I'm wrestling with this game. I will take Cal plus the 9.5. Take Washington State to win the game at home in Pullman. With the way Cal's playing defense, only giving up 250 points to Washington last week. Again, who knows? Attack on Florida State, North Carolina State. This may hurt my record, but I'm taking Florida State in an upset to win on the road against North Carolina State. Take that 9.5 points, but they also win the game. FSU at North Carolina State. There are my picks for Week 10. Down in the comments section, give me your picks. I'm creating too much content here. I can't get to my picks each and every week, so I apologize that this is out so late. I just had to beat the noon Eastern Time kickoffs, but I should be getting this out sometime on Wednesday or Thursday with the complete action for the weekend. I'm not an odds maker. I'm not a handicapper. I pick these games off the top of my head. The most research I do is just to compare a few scores at this point in the season sometimes, but generally I just, bam, pick the games in about 45 seconds, and I should hit, as I typically do, somewhere in the upper 50s, 58%, something in that range against the spread, and 80+% straight up. That's what I typically do. We'll see how it finishes out this season. Check out the videos. Of course, you can chart me and play along, keep my record. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.